Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world that abhors loneliness. We're constantly bombarded with messages that solitude is something to be avoided, a sign of failure, or even a personal defect. But what if we've got it all wrong? What if loneliness, that aching void so many of us dread, is not a curse but an opportunity, a gift that, when embraced, can lead us to profound personal growth? Loneliness, first and foremost, is a mirror. It strips away the noise, the distractions, and the masks we wear in public. It forces us to confront the person staring back at us. And yes, this can be uncomfortable, terrifying even, but it's only in that discomfort that we begin to discover who we truly are. Without solitude, how can we differentiate between the thoughts we've absorbed from others and the truths that belong solely to us? Moreover, loneliness is not a state of weakness, it is a crucible for resilience. When we are alone, there's no one to lean on but ourselves. This is where real strength is forged. It's in the moments of solitude that we learn to carry our own burdens and stand tall under their weight. Consider this: creativity often thrives in isolation. History is replete with examples. Think of the great writers, philosophers, and inventors. Many of their most groundbreaking ideas were born not in crowds, but in the quiet sanctuaries of solitude. Solitude allows the mind to wander, to connect disparate ideas, and to give birth to something entirely new. And while creativity might flourish in isolation, so too does clarity. Loneliness is the space in which we can untangle the web of our lives, make sense of our failures, and redefine our goals. It's a space to think deeply, unhurriedly, and with purpose. But let's not overlook the emotional growth that loneliness offers. It teaches us to sit with our feelings rather than running from them. It forces us to understand our emotional needs and to address them on our own terms. This emotional independence is not just valuable, it's transformative. Paradoxically, it is only through solitude that we learn to connect with others in a truly meaningful way. If we don't know ourselves, how can we ever hope to know someone else? Time spent alone allows us to discover our values, boundaries, and desires, making our relationships more authentic and fulfilling. And finally, let's talk about balance. Loneliness reminds us that connection and solitude are not enemies, they are partners. Without one, the other loses its meaning. Loneliness teaches us to cherish the moments of connection while also respecting the necessity of solitude. So the next time you find yourself alone, resist the urge to fill the void with distractions. Instead, lean into it. Explore the silence. And remember, loneliness is not a punishment, it's a teacher. One that, if you listen closely, might just change your life. Loneliness, though often perceived as a void to be avoided, can serve as a profound gateway to self-discovery. In a world brimming with noise, endless connectivity, and relentless distractions, we rarely have the opportunity to sit with ourselves and genuinely confront who we are beneath the layers of societal expectations. Solitude strips away the filters we project onto the world, leaving us face to face with our unvarnished selves. It's an encounter that many shy away from, but it holds the potential for unparalleled growth. When we're constantly surrounded by others, it becomes all too easy to lose sight of where we end and others begin. We unconsciously adopt the opinions, desires, and behaviors of those around us, blending into the crowd without realizing it. In this sense, loneliness is a gift, albeit one wrapped in discomfort. It removes external voices, compelling us to tune into our own. What do I truly want? What do I believe? What values define me? These are questions that only emerge in the quiet, when the cacophony of the outside world subsides. The process of self-discovery through loneliness is not immediate, it's often messy and fraught with resistance. Initially, solitude can feel oppressive, as if we're being abandoned or left behind. But this reaction is rooted in our aversion to vulnerability. When we're alone, there's no one to distract us from our doubts, fears, and insecurities. These emotions bubble to the surface, demanding to be acknowledged. Yet, it's in this very confrontation that we begin to grow. Rather than running from these feelings, we learn to sit with them, to understand their origins, and to integrate them into a fuller sense of self. In solitude, we also discover the contours of our uniqueness. Without the need to conform to group dynamics, we're free to explore our quirks, passions, and interests. Perhaps you've always loved painting but never pursued it because it didn't fit into the image others had of you. Or maybe you felt drawn to a particular philosophy or way of life but suppressed it to avoid judgment. Loneliness gives you the freedom to experiment with these aspects of yourself without fear. It's a space where curiosity thrives, where you can rediscover what it means to live authentically. Additionally, loneliness helps us develop a relationship with ourselves. In the same way we invest time and energy into understanding friends or partners, solitude invites us to cultivate that same depth of understanding internally. What brings you joy? What triggers your frustrations? What are your dreams, and what's holding you back from pursuing them? These insights, gained through quiet reflection, form the foundation of a life lived with intention and purpose. This journey is not one of isolation for its own sake, but rather an invitation to uncover the treasures hidden within. Loneliness, when embraced, becomes less about the absence of others and more about the presence of the self. And in discovering that self, we open the door to a more meaningful and grounded existence. Loneliness, often dismissed as a state of despair, can be one of the most profound opportunities for personal growth because it builds resilience. When we find ourselves alone, stripped of the safety net of others, we're forced to confront life's challenges head-on. It is in these solitary moments that we discover our ability to endure, adapt, and overcome. While connection with others provides comfort, there is an undeniable strength in knowing that we can stand on our own. Life is unpredictable, and there will inevitably be times when we are left to navigate its trials without the immediate support of friends, family, or colleagues. Loneliness, in this context, becomes a training ground for self-reliance. Without someone to lean on, we learn to lean inward. We come to understand that we are capable of solving problems, making decisions, and weathering storms without external validation or assistance. This realization is empowering. It transforms loneliness from a perceived weakness into a testament of strength. When we are alone, we also gain a clearer view of our inner resources. Loneliness challenges us to develop the tools necessary to cope with adversity. For instance, if faced with a difficult situation in isolation, we must learn to self-soothe, manage our emotions, and find solutions independently. These skills are not just practical, they form the bedrock of resilience. Over time, we become less reliant on external factors to maintain our stability, which is an invaluable quality in an uncertain world. Moreover, the discomfort of loneliness forces us to build mental endurance. It is in these moments of solitude that we confront our fears, doubts, and insecurities. This is not an easy process. It requires patience and the willingness to face the parts of ourselves we might prefer to ignore. However, by doing so, we strengthen our emotional resilience. Each time we sit with our discomfort rather than running from it, we become more capable of handling life's inevitable challenges. Another way loneliness fosters resilience is by teaching us how to deal with rejection and disappointment. When we face these emotions alone, without the immediate reassurance of others, we learn to process and move through them in a healthier way. Instead of seeking external comfort, we turn inward, building a stronger relationship with ourselves. This self-reliance doesn't mean we reject connection with others, but it does mean we're better equipped to handle the ebb and flow of relationships and life circumstances. Lastly, the resilience gained through loneliness equips us to face future challenges with confidence. Once we've experienced solitude and emerged stronger, we realize that we can survive and even thrive without constant external support. This knowledge becomes a source of inner peace, allowing us to approach life with a sense of calm and self-assurance. In essence, loneliness is not just an experience of being alone, but a crucible in which our strength is forged. By embracing it rather than fearing it, we cultivate resilience that will serve us throughout our lives. Loneliness, though often shunned, is a fertile ground for creativity. It is in the quiet moments of solitude, away from the demands and distractions of the world, that the mind is free to wander, explore, and connect ideas in ways it cannot in the presence of constant noise. Some of the most groundbreaking innovations, works of art, and philosophical insights have been born not in the chaos of crowds, but in the calm of isolation. When we embrace loneliness, we open ourselves to the creative potential that lies dormant within us. The absence of external stimulation in solitude allows the mind to slow down and focus inward. In our fast-paced, hyper-connected lives, we're often bombarded with information, opinions, and demands that fragment our attention and limit our ability to think deeply. Loneliness, however, provides the mental space necessary for ideas to take root and flourish. It is during these quiet times that the brain begins to make connections between seemingly unrelated concepts, giving rise to original thoughts and creative breakthroughs. Loneliness also removes the pressure to conform. When we are surrounded by others, there's often an implicit expectation to align our thoughts and actions with those of the group. This can stifle creativity, as it discourages us from exploring unconventional ideas for fear of judgment or rejection. In solitude, we are free to think boldly, experiment without criticism, and entertain possibilities that might seem too risky or outlandish in the presence of others. This freedom is essential for true innovation. Moreover, the reflective nature of loneliness fosters a deeper understanding of oneself, which is crucial for creativity. When we take the time to sit with our thoughts and emotions, we gain insight into our passions, interests, and unique perspectives. These personal revelations become the raw material for creative expression. For example, a writer might draw on their feelings of isolation to craft a story that resonates deeply with readers, or an artist might use their solitude to explore new techniques and styles that reflect their inner world. Another benefit of loneliness is that it allows for sustained periods of focus and immersion, which are essential for creative work. Creativity often requires long stretches of uninterrupted time to brainstorm, experiment, and refine ideas. When we're alone, free from the interruptions of conversations, notifications, or societal expectations, we can enter a state of flow, a mental state where ideas come effortlessly and time seems to fade away. This state is where some of the most profound and transformative creative work takes place. Even the discomfort that often accompanies loneliness can be a catalyst for creativity. Many creative individuals have used feelings of isolation or alienation as inspiration for their work. Pain, longing, and introspection are powerful motivators that can drive us to create something meaningful and authentic. By channeling these emotions into art, writing, or innovation, we transform our solitude into something beautiful and impactful. In loneliness, we are not just alone with our thoughts, we are alone with our potential. It is in this space, free from distractions and external pressures, that creativity thrives. By embracing solitude, we unlock a wellspring of ideas and inspiration that might otherwise remain untapped. Loneliness, often viewed as a state of emptiness, provides an unparalleled opportunity for deep thinking and gaining perspective. In the solitude that loneliness offers, we find the rare chance to step back from the chaos of daily life and examine it from a distance. It is in these quiet, undisturbed moments that we can engage in profound introspection and uncover clarity about our lives, choices, and purpose. When we're constantly surrounded by people or immersed in the noise of modern life, our thoughts are fragmented. Social interactions, notifications, and responsibilities pull us in 1,000 directions, leaving little room for uninterrupted reflection. Loneliness, however, offers a reprieve from this mental clutter. It creates a space where we can focus on the bigger picture rather than getting lost in the minutiae. This shift in focus allows us to reevaluate our priorities and decisions, helping us align our actions with what truly matters to us. In solitude, we can untangle the web of our thoughts and emotions. The stillness that comes with being alone encourages us to confront the unresolved questions and dilemmas we often push aside in our busy lives. Why do I feel unfulfilled? What is holding me back from pursuing my goals? How can I better align my life with my values? These are not questions we can answer in passing. They require time, patience, and a willingness to sit with discomfort. Loneliness grants us the time and mental space to explore these questions deeply, often leading to revelations that transform how we see ourselves in the world. Loneliness also sharpens our ability to think critically. Without the influence of others' opinions or societal pressures, we can analyze situations objectively and form our own conclusions. This independence of thought is essential for personal growth and decision-making. In the absence of external voices, we become better at recognizing our biases and questioning assumptions that may have gone unchallenged. This clarity allows us to approach problems with a fresh perspective, unclouded by the expectations or judgments of others. Moreover, the introspection that loneliness fosters helps us make sense of our experiences. Life is filled with complexities and contradictions that are not easily understood in the moment. Solitude provides the mental space needed to process these experiences, extract meaning from them, and integrate them into our understanding of ourselves and the world. This process of reflection deepens our self-awareness and equips us with the wisdom to navigate future challenges more effectively. Loneliness is also a time for recalibration. In the stillness of solitude, we can assess the direction our lives are taking and make adjustments as needed. Are we pursuing goals that genuinely fulfill us, or are we chasing what others have defined as success? Are our relationships enriching and supportive, or are they draining and superficial? By stepping back and viewing our lives through the lens of loneliness, we gain the clarity needed to make choices that lead to a more meaningful and authentic existence. In embracing loneliness, we are not merely retreating from the world, we are creating the space to understand it and our place within it. This clarity and perspective born from solitude enrich every aspect of our lives, helping us move forward with intention and purpose. Loneliness, though often accompanied by discomfort, offers a unique opportunity to understand and master our emotions. When we are alone, there are no distractions, no external validations, and no one to project our feelings onto. This absence of external input forces us to sit with our emotions, however complex or uncomfortable they may be. It is in this solitude that we begin to understand the depth, nuance, and origins of our feelings, leading to emotional growth and resilience. In the presence of others, emotions are often diluted or redirected. We may suppress feelings to maintain harmony, overreact to gain attention, or even adopt emotional responses that are not entirely our own. Loneliness eliminates this dynamic. It provides a space where emotions can surface authentically, free from social expectations. For instance, sadness or anger can be experienced without the need to explain or justify it to anyone else. This unfiltered encounter with our emotions allows us to process them more honestly. Understanding our emotions begins with recognizing them. In solitude, we can examine our feelings without the distraction of external noise. Why do I feel this way? What triggered this emotion? These questions can be explored deeply when we are alone, fostering a more profound understanding of ourselves. This self-awareness is critical because emotions often serve as indicators of deeper needs, values, or unresolved issues. For example, recurring feelings of frustration might point to unmet expectations or a lack of alignment with personal goals. Solitude gives us the clarity to uncover these underlying causes. Mastery of emotions, however, goes beyond mere understanding. It involves learning how to regulate and channel our feelings constructively. Loneliness provides the perfect training ground for this. Without the immediate feedback or reassurance of others, we are left to manage our emotional states independently. This might mean finding ways to calm ourselves when anxious, motivate ourselves when despondent, or reframe situations when feeling overwhelmed. These skills are not only invaluable for personal well-being, but also enhance our interactions with others, as we become less reactive and more grounded. Additionally, solitude allows us to build emotional endurance. In the absence of external distractions, we learn to sit with our emotions rather than avoiding or numbing them. This can be challenging, especially when dealing with feelings like sadness, loneliness itself, or regret. However, by facing these emotions head-on, we develop a tolerance for discomfort and a deeper sense of resilience. Over time, this practice makes us less afraid of our own feelings, empowering us to navigate life's ups and downs with greater equanimity. Loneliness also fosters a sense of emotional independence. When we spend time alone, we learn to validate our own experiences and emotions rather than relying on others for affirmation. This doesn't mean rejecting connection, but rather building a foundation of self-sufficiency that makes relationships healthier and more balanced. When we are emotionally independent, we are better equipped to contribute to relationships without placing undue burdens on others for our happiness. Through solitude, we gain the tools to understand, regulate, and embrace our emotions fully. Far from being a state to fear, loneliness becomes a powerful means of cultivating emotional maturity and inner strength. Loneliness can be a crucial part of building authentic relationships. It may seem counterintuitive. How can being alone help us form deeper connections with others? But the truth is that in order to form meaningful, genuine bonds with others, we must first understand who we are, what we need, and what we can offer. Time spent in solitude provides the opportunity to explore these fundamental aspects of ourselves, allowing us to approach relationships not out of need or dependency, but from a place of clarity and emotional maturity. When we are alone, we are free from the external influences of others' expectations, judgments, or behaviors. This freedom allows us to examine our true desires, values, and boundaries without the pressure to conform to someone else's vision of who we should be. In this way, loneliness acts as a mirror that helps us gain a deeper understanding of ourselves. Without this introspective period, we risk entering relationships without knowing what we truly want, potentially leading to unhealthy patterns or misunderstandings. Spending time alone allows us to develop a relationship with ourselves, one that is grounded in self-respect and self-compassion. We learn to meet our own emotional needs and cultivate the self-awareness necessary for healthy interaction with others. When we understand our own needs and limitations, we are more capable of recognizing and respecting the needs and boundaries of those we connect with. In this way, loneliness serves as a kind of training ground for emotional intelligence, helping us build the skills necessary for empathy, communication, and trust in relationships. In solitude, we also have the chance to confront our fears of vulnerability and rejection. Many of us enter relationships with walls built around our emotions, often as a result of past hurts or insecurities. However, the time spent alone can help us dismantle these walls as we learn to face our emotional fears and build resilience. When we are comfortable in our own company, we no longer need external validation to feel complete. This emotional independence creates a healthier foundation for relationships because we enter them as whole individuals, not as people seeking completion or approval from others. Moreover, the space provided by loneliness allows us to reflect on past relationships, both positive and negative, and learn from them. We begin to see patterns in our behavior and the behavior of others, helping us identify what works and what doesn't. For instance, perhaps we realize that we have a tendency to people please, or maybe we recognize a pattern of choosing partners who are emotionally unavailable. Solitude gives us the time and mental space to identify these patterns, break free from them, and consciously decide what we want to change moving forward. This self-awareness and emotional maturity translate into more authentic and fulfilling relationships. When we know ourselves, we are more likely to attract people who align with our values and desires. We also become better at setting boundaries, communicating openly, and offering support in ways that foster mutual respect and understanding. Authentic relationships are not built on the need to fill a void or meet unmet emotional needs. They are grounded in mutual recognition of each other's individuality and worth. Through solitude, we learn to bring our most authentic selves into these relationships, which strengthens their foundation and sustainability. In essence, loneliness, when embraced, becomes a bridge to deeper connections with others. By taking the time to understand who we are and what we truly need, we can approach relationships with a clarity and authenticity that enriches both ourselves and the people we choose to share our lives with. Loneliness, though uncomfortable, provides a unique opportunity to develop a sense of inner peace and mindfulness. In a world that constantly demands our attention through work, social media, and societal expectations, we rarely find the time to be present with ourselves. Loneliness strips away these distractions, allowing us to tune into the present moment and become more attuned to our inner world. This process, though challenging, can lead to a profound sense of peace and calm that is not reliant on external circumstances. When we are alone, we have the rare chance to cultivate mindfulness, the ability to be fully present in the moment without judgment. In solitude, there are no social pressures, no responsibilities pulling us in different directions. We are free to focus on the here and now. This mental stillness, although foreign to many of us, offers the perfect environment for mindfulness practices such as meditation, deep breathing, or simple self-reflection. In these moments, we can turn our attention inward and observe our thoughts and emotions without attachment, allowing them to come and go naturally. This practice helps us detach from the constant mental chatter that often dominates our daily lives and creates a sense of inner peace. One of the greatest gifts of loneliness is the opportunity to connect with our own thoughts and emotions in a way that is often impossible in the noise of everyday life. When we are constantly surrounded by others, we tend to externalize our thoughts and feelings, seeking validation, advice, or approval from those around us. In loneliness, however, we are left to face ourselves, and in doing so, we gain a deeper understanding of our inner world. This understanding allows us to become more self-aware, noticing patterns in our thinking and behavior that we may not have recognized before. As we develop this awareness, we learn to respond to our emotions and thoughts with compassion, rather than judgment or frustration. In turn, this fosters a greater sense of emotional equilibrium and peace. The solitude of loneliness also provides an opportunity to reconnect with our deeper values and desires. Without the distractions of external influences, we can turn inward and reflect on what truly matters to us, our goals, our beliefs, and our passions. This process of self-discovery allows us to align our actions with our values, creating a life that feels more authentic and meaningful. The clarity that comes from this inner reflection is a source of peace, as we are no longer swayed by the opinions or expectations of others. Instead, we can move forward with confidence, knowing that we are living in accordance with our true selves. Another aspect of loneliness that contributes to inner peace is the ability to simply be in a world that often equates worth with productivity and constant action. Solitude allows us to slow down and simply exist. There is no need to be doing something all the time, no pressure to fill every moment with activity. In loneliness, we can learn to embrace the present moment, finding peace in simply being alive without the need for external validation or achievement. This acceptance of our own existence is a form of peace that is deeply liberating, as it frees us from the need to constantly prove ourselves or seek approval from others. Through loneliness, we learn to cultivate a state of mindfulness and inner peace that is not contingent upon external circumstances. The absence of distraction allows us to develop a deeper understanding of ourselves, our emotions, and our values. This self-awareness, combined with the freedom to simply be, fosters a sense of tranquility that becomes an anchor in our lives, regardless of the chaos around us. Loneliness is often perceived as something to be avoided, yet it can provide an incredible opportunity for personal growth and self-improvement. In solitude, we are not distracted by the opinions or expectations of others, allowing us to turn inward and focus on our own development. This uninterrupted time offers us the chance to cultivate new skills, pursue passions, and challenge ourselves to grow in ways that would be difficult in the presence of constant social interaction. Far from being a passive experience, loneliness can act as a powerful catalyst for change and self-improvement. One of the most significant benefits of loneliness is that it allows us the time and space to reflect on our lives, our goals, and our purpose. In the absence of outside noise, we can truly hear our own thoughts, free from the clutter of external influences. This clarity gives us the opportunity to assess where we are in life and where we want to go. It's a chance to identify areas for improvement, whether in our personal habits, professional life, or emotional well-being. In the quiet of solitude, we can also reevaluate our values and priorities, ensuring that our actions are aligned with what truly matters to us. This process of self-reflection enables us to identify areas of growth and take intentional steps toward improvement. Loneliness also provides the opportunity for deep self-discipline. In the absence of social obligations or external distractions, we can focus entirely on personal development, whether that involves honing a specific skill, improving our physical health, or pursuing a creative project. This undisturbed time is invaluable for developing self-discipline because it requires us to take responsibility for our own progress without relying on external motivations. The absence of social interactions means that we must rely on our own inner drive and commitment to stay on track with our goals. Over time, this strengthens our ability to set and achieve personal goals, making us more resilient and focused in all areas of life. Furthermore, loneliness can push us to step out of our comfort zones and try new things. Without the safety net of social validation, we are forced to take risks and embrace new experiences. This may involve exploring new hobbies, learning a new language, or tackling a project that we have long avoided. Loneliness can serve as a challenge to break free from habitual patterns and step into the unknown. It provides the space for creativity and experimentation, encouraging us to explore new ideas and ways of thinking. As we push ourselves beyond our comfort zones, we discover new strengths and capabilities that we may not have realized were within us. Another aspect of self-improvement that loneliness fosters is emotional resilience. When we spend time alone, we are forced to confront our own emotions without external distractions or support. This can be uncomfortable, as it requires us to face our fears, insecurities, and vulnerabilities. However, this process of emotional self-exploration is essential for building resilience. By learning to navigate and manage our emotions on our own, we become more capable of handling life's challenges with strength and composure. Loneliness teaches us how to soothe ourselves, process our feelings, and find inner stability, which ultimately makes us more emotionally resilient in the face of adversity. In addition to emotional resilience, loneliness can foster mental clarity. Without the constant input from others, we are able to focus on our own thoughts and ideas without external judgment or influence. This clarity helps us to think more critically and make decisions with greater confidence. We are less likely to be swayed by the opinions of others, instead trusting our own judgment and instincts. The mental freedom that comes with solitude enables us to think more clearly about our values, goals, and aspirations, leading to a greater sense of direction and purpose in life. Lastly, loneliness provides us with the opportunity to cultivate gratitude. While it may seem paradoxical, time spent alone often helps us appreciate the relationships and experiences we do have. When we are isolated, we are reminded of the value of connection. And this realization often leads to a deeper sense of gratitude for the people and things that enrich our lives. Loneliness helps us recognize what truly matters and encourages us to nurture the meaningful relationships that bring us joy and fulfillment. Through loneliness, we can transform isolation into an opportunity for growth and self-improvement. It offers us the time and space to reflect, develop self-discipline, step out of our comfort zones, build emotional resilience, gain mental clarity, and cultivate gratitude. Rather than viewing loneliness as something to fear or avoid, we can embrace it as a powerful tool for becoming the best version of ourselves. In conclusion, while loneliness is often perceived negatively, it holds significant potential for personal growth, emotional healing, and the development of meaningful relationships. Far from being an experience to avoid, solitude provides us with the rare opportunity to connect with ourselves, understand our true desires, and cultivate emotional independence. It allows us to build self-awareness, develop resilience, and create a stronger foundation for authentic connections with others. Through loneliness, we learn the importance of quality over quantity in relationships, and we gain the clarity needed to align our actions with our values. By embracing loneliness rather than fearing it, we unlock the potential for self-improvement, deeper connections, and a life that is more genuine, purposeful, and fulfilling. Ultimately, loneliness can serve as a catalyst for becoming the best version of ourselves, one that is content, self-sufficient, and ready to form authentic and meaningful bonds with others.